In today's episode of the Educational Duct Tape Podcast, the listeners, otherwise known as the Duct Tapers, share their thoughts, tips, and strategies for encouraging and ensuring academic honesty in an educational ecosystem that includes EI. EI? E-I-E-I-O. What's wrong with me? That includes AI. AI, artificial intelligence, not EI. I don't know what that is. Today's sponsor, Visor, kind of reminds me of my wife. Okay, I know that sounds awkward, but hear me out on this one. I'm always looking for something. Often it's food, and I'm all like, honey, are we out of string cheese? And she's like, no, it's in the fridge. And even though this is not the first time that I've played the Jake can't find the food game, I tell her that there is literally 0 string cheese in our fridge. But then she comes walking over and is like, it's right there, dummy. Well, she doesn't say dummy, but I'm pretty sure she thinks it, and otherwise, that's the exact way it goes. Well, Visor is just like that. It also doesn't call me dummy, at least I don't think it does, but it also knows exactly where that one thing I'm looking for is. You see, Visor syncs up perfectly with the Google Admin Console and your student information system, so you can keep tabs on which student has which devices are out for repair, and more. And Visor comes with built-in automations like disabling stolen devices and power washing devices faster than you could say, where's the string cheese? Now, for all of you educational duct tape listeners, there's a special deal waiting for you. Head over to visor.cloud/Jake, that's VIZOR.cloud/Jake, and you'll get special pricing and some awesome swag like a copy of my book, Educational Duct Tape. Again, visor.cloud/Jake. Trust me, your future self will thank you. I wonder if I can add those barcodes to my string cheese.
Welcome to the Educational Duct Tape Podcast with Jake Miller.
Welcome in, Duct Tapers. For those of you who are new to the show, my name is Jake. I'm an educator from Ohio, and because you're listening to this show, you are now a duct taper. And that means that you believe in the educational duct tape metaphor, meaning you believe that educational technology is at its most useful when it is not the goal of the lesson, but a tool used to solve a problem, meet a goal, or address a learning standard. Similarly, you believe that using duct tape is never one's goal, but it is an incredibly useful tool when solving problems or helping you meet a goal. So educational technology and duct tape are kind of the same, hence educational duct tape. So last week, I released an amazing episode with my friend Molly Cloder, and as I shared in that episode, today is the day where we hear the duct tapers sharing their thoughts about what Molly and I discussed. You'll hear some reactions to what Molly and I shared, as well as some additions to the things we shared. We'll be doing this every 2 weeks, and I hope that if you didn't share this time, you'll share next time. And I hope that if you did share this time, you'll share again next time. So next week, you'll hear a regular interview episode, and then the following week will once again be the duct tapers' chance to share their voices and wisdom once again. I'll remind you how to do that when the time gets a little nearer, but again, there'll be a rotation every other week. 1 week will be a new episode with an interview. The following week will be a chance for you guys to share your thoughts on that interview. Typically, we'll talk about a certain problem or goal or need or whatever it might be and name 2 or 3 educational technology tools or strategies that can help with it. And that won't be complete. That won't cover all the bases. So I'll be looking to you to fill in those gaps or to build on what we shared. And so that's what's going to happen today in relation to what Molly and I shared recently. Do you like winning? I know you do. So let's make things fun with a little contest. If you're excited about the return of the podcast or just today's episode or hearing yourself on the episode or whatever it might be, here's your chance to snag a free signed copy of my book, Educational Duct Tape. Here's how it works. Between now and Labor Day here in the United States, that is September 2nd, share the news about the podcast's comeback or this episode on social media. Make sure your post is public and include the hashtag #EDU_DuctTape. And if you see me pop in with a like or a comment, you'll know I've seen it and you'll know that I've added it to the contest. If you're more of an emailer or prefer sharing in private groups, well, that works too. Just take a screenshot and send it over to me at jake@jakemiller.net. I'll get the screenshot and I'll enter you into the contest too. So to recap, share about today's episode or the return of the Educational Duct Tape podcast on social media with hashtag EDUDUCTTAPE, or send me a screenshot of your share. And then on Labor Day, I'll take a break from my picnic. I'll temporarily set my hot dog and cold beverage aside. I'll gather up all those names. I'll toss them into my trusty Cleveland Guardians cap. By the way, Cleveland Guardians, #1 team in baseball, right? Maybe not #1. Maybe they're #2 right now, but they are amazing. Jose Ramirez, that's the man. Anyhow, I'm going to take my Cleveland Guardians cap. I'm going to put those names in it, and I'm going to draw 10 lucky winners who will get a signed copy of my book. So good luck, and thanks for spreading the word. Okay, let's get to it with some duct taper wisdom. First up, we've got some insights from one of my favorite educators, Bryon Carpenter. Bryon hosts a podcast called Fresh Air at 5. I highly recommend you check it out. So every morning, Bryon goes for a 5 a.m.-ish walk, listens to some podcasts, and then shares his insights. He shares them first on X, and then once a week or so, he pulls them together into a podcast episode. And here are Bryon's thoughts on the return episode. That's episode 107, Be Like the Buffalo. Take it away, Bryon.
Educational Duct Tape podcast is back. Big thumbs up, Jake. Glad to hear your voice on the airwaves again. All right, your episode was entitled Be Like the Buffalo. There's a great analogy by Rory Vader that Jake brings to us about how cows and buffalo treat storms differently. Buffalo head directly into the storm, whereas cows run away from the storm. And so thank you, Rory Vader, for that analogy. It's really helpful in our time of educational technology change and in our changing world of technology that we do not run or hide from the emerging technology, but have a growth mindset as we approach what's going on. Specifically right now, we're talking about artificial intelligence. It is coming to us like a hurricane, and if we run away from it, we're going to be engulfed in it eventually and have to deal with it, but it'll probably take us by surprise a lot more than if we take time to learn, do some learning, and prepare for its coming, and it's already here amongst us. Thanks, bye.
Thanks so much, Bryon. I love hearing your weekly thoughts on the episodes. I hope you keep listening and keep sharing them on social media and in your podcast, and I hope to continue including them here as well. Speaking of social media, with each episode, I've been curating some quotes from the episode and sharing them as little videos on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube Reels and X. You can hear them all if you follow me at Jake Miller EDU. They're just snippets from the podcast, nice ways to find new listeners and for you to share certain segments that you enjoyed. So make sure you're following me at Jake Miller EDU. No longer Jake Miller Tech, it's Jake Miller EDU. Anyhow, one of those posts from the episode with Molly prompted some interaction from an educator named Isaac Marquez. You could follow him at iMarquezEDU. It was a text post because it was X, although you can do audio on X, I guess. But anyhow, it was a text post, and I decided to use some AI to give Isaac a voice and spotlight his insights on the show. I will say I won't normally run over to X and grab communications that I receive there because I can't go everywhere. I'll just go to the Padlet and the SpeakPipe for audio. But this time I wanted to share and spotlight his thoughts that he shared there. So here we go.
Hi, I am Isaac Marquez. A quote from the episode with Molly made me think. Can AI be used for cheating? Depends on what we consider cheating, I think. AI is a tool that's here whether we like it or not. It's up to us as educators to teach S's how to effectively use this new tool to improve their learning, just as we do with any other educational tool.
So when I saw that post from Isaac, by the way, I wanted so badly to call it a tweet right there, but I'm trying to follow Elon's rules here. Can I just call it a tweet, Elon, please? Anyhow, I saw Isaac's post. I really wanted to reply to it, and I replied, Isaac, I think they certainly are cheating, but and we kind of talked about them with Molly, that we know they were before AI and now they still are kind of to the same degree, or at least the same amount of students. But as he alluded to, we need to clearly set that boundary of what is and is not cheating. More importantly, I told him, I agree with your second point. We have to accept this, adapt to it, and use it for good. To which Isaac responded,
Oh, absolutely, if they are presenting original AI work as their own. That is not okay. But if they're taught to use AI as a collaborative partner in specific ways to help develop their own ideas, then I think there's room for that in the classroom.
I am absolutely loving having these discussions with folks, so I hope Isaac continues to reach out after episodes and after videos that I share, but I also hope that you do too. And the nice thing with the Padlet that I'm using for the show is that on Padlet, you can comment with audio message. So instead of me and Isaac typing back and forth and then me turning his voice into AI audio and then me rereading the message I sent there, we could have just communicated via audio messages, and then I could have just showcased that whole conversation, and it could have been with other people. I could have aired that entire threaded conversation right here in this episode. So please hop on there and connect with other learners. That's eduducttape.com/Padlet. Next, I'd like to share some thoughts from Nicholas Morol. And Nicholas, I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But after the first episode, he shared a drawing he made about buffalo and cows and storms. And then after the second episode, he shared some text reflections on the Padlet. So here they are in AI-generated audio form. Again, this isn't Nicholas's voice. He shared text. I'm using AI here to generate the audio for Nicholas.
I am so happy that both of you said that AI should be allowed in the classroom and schools. AI is a tool that can be used in conjunction with a student's learning. I am currently working as a second grade teacher in a Title I school. Just last year, I found out about MagicSchool AI, and it changed a lot of how I did my lesson planning, as well as giving me ideas for a Class Dojo post. It is very true that the AI does not give thorough ideas, but when you are able to write a very concise prompt, the information is vastly different. I found out about a MagicSchool for students and immediately tried to get my students on it for them to try out during our intervention block. However, my school technology coach blocks a lot of the AI apps because she thinks students will misuse them. I've been wanting to go to her with the quote about the cows and the buffalo. A way that I get around this is having the students use Canva, and there are many AI tools that they can use for image creation. One day, I had the students create their own coloring pages to have over the winter holiday. Can't wait to hear more on the podcast.
Thanks for sharing your thoughts, Nicholas. I will say it's tough being a school's technology coach or director or specialist right now. These tools are risky, they're scary, and there are things that we have to be super careful about with AI. And that's part of what I mean by being like the buffalo. Don't just run forward into danger blindly. Face the storm, consider the options, look at the information, and make informed decisions. But don't run from it either, right? So in this situation, that means that you can't block all AI, but you certainly have to block some AI, right? And implementation plans are wise too. How are you going to scaffold this in? You can't just start with it all on. How are you going to scaffold it in? But I think that part of what you mentioned there really made me think about something that Molly and I talked about there, which with this technology coach that you work with, when we say kids will misuse this, they might, right? They're kids, right? That's human nature for children and for teenagers. I think you said you teach second grade, but that's all ages of children are going to misuse things. And that doesn't mean don't let them use it. It means help them learn to use it appropriately. If they're not ready to do something, that means they need professionals like a technology coach and a second grade teacher to help them learn how to use it appropriately, right? So don't just run away from it. Use it, right? And help them use it. Okay. Up next, we've got some examples of how folks are using AI. We had a little example there from Nicholas at the end about those coloring book pages. First example is from Eric Guise of the EdTech Throwdown podcast. Big fan of that show. I'm excited to say that Eric and his co-host Nick are going to be guests here on Educational Duct Tape in the near future. For now, though, let's hear about one of Eric's favorite AI uses.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Eric Guise from the EdTech Throwdown podcast. Long-time Duct Tape listener, first-time Duct Tape space poster. I guess it's duct taper space poster, but this is my first time. And what I decided I was going to do is, since I binge listened to Jake's 2 episodes, I'm going to binge post here and do a little mashup between episodes 107 and 108. Be like a buffalo. That was awesome. I am a country kid. I grew up around several farms and we had cows, and anytime there was a rain thunderstorm, whatever, they would just lay down. And I always thought because they wanted to, keep their underside dry, their bellies dry. But I will tell you this, if I was going to war, I would definitely pick the buffalo. They're crazy. It sounds crazy. So run into those storms, I'll be by your side, I say to the dear buffalo. But episode 108 with Molly was awesome. Got me really thinking about AI usage. We spent a lot of time at school, Nick, my co-host, and I, and another gentleman by the name of Jeff, coming up with some suggested policies for schools, our school in particular, about how we're going to roll out AI and get clear communication out there as to how it should be used or how it can be used in education. So this episode was awesome just because it got me thinking about that after I took pretty much the whole summer and I spent it with family, friends, sporting events and things like that. I tried to just get away from technology, but I'm loving the fact that I'm getting back into it. And I'm loving that these 2 episodes are making me reflect on what I'm going to do this year with my practice, especially with AI usage. So I just wanted to share one thing. I'm going to app smash a little bit. I'm trying to find ways that I can make my grading and my feedback and personalized feedback a lot quicker. And one of the classes that I teach, I'm a science teacher originally, but I also now teach technology courses. And one of the courses I teach is called World Ready Technology, Introduction to Podcasting. So our students podcast in this, and it takes a long time to listen to their episodes, give them meaningful feedback, and then also a grade on top. So I wanted to take a look at MagicSchool because that was suggested to see if there's something in there that I could use to help me grade these podcasts in a meaningful way for my students. So rubric generator is one of my favorites, and it allows you to basically just type in a prompt and it's going to kick out a rubric. All right, so in here you would put the grade level, how many points, the standard or the objective, and then any assignment details. I just said students should be able to plan, record, edit, and publish an episode. And then I use that for my assignment description. And I went ahead and hit generate, and it came up with this rubric that is, it's basic, it's to the point. I could easily go in and edit this, which I will do later. But for now, I'm just going to hit copy. All right, so instead of doing this for each and every one of my episodes that I have to grade for the students, it would be cool if there was a way that I could just type in a shortcut and this rubric will automatically show up in our LMS or wherever it is that you go grade. So I use another thing called TextBlaze. This is a Google Chrome extension, and you can make these things called snippets. So think of snippets as templates. You make whatever template you want, and you come up with a shortcut for that. So every time you add this shortcut while the extension is running into any space where you could type, such as a Google Doc or a comment within a Google Doc or Google Forms space or an email or anything like that, this is going to show up, and it allows for the grading piece to easily be communicated through a visual rubric. Underneath that, then I can add a couple of comments, a couple of you did these well, or this is something I want you to work on. So if we go into any type of Google Doc or anything like that, and as long as the TextBlaze extension's running, you could easily just type in the / and then whatever the shortcut snippet is. And then from there, you could get clever, bold whatever you want to bold, or you could change the color to show where they fell within the rubric. And then at the bottom, you could enter your comments. So this is something that I'm going to implement into this year to make the grading on my side easier, quicker, faster, and more meaningful, personalized. And also, if I make this the norm in the classroom, the students will get used to it as well, to go look there for feedback. So I hope this use of AI, these tools, help you in any way. There are several ways that you can implement AI into your teaching practice that's going to make things run a lot more smoothly. And I think the students will appreciate the extra mile that you go to show them this personalized feedback. Jake, love what you're doing. Keep it up. It's always a blast to listen to your episodes. I'd love more Piggy and Gerald references if you can. I would appreciate that, but I hope you have a great start to your school year.
Thank you so much, Eric. Great hearing you on the show. Can't wait to feature you and Nick on a future episode. And maybe, who knows, in that episode, we'll work in some Elephant and Piggy references for those of you who noticed his reference of Gerald and Piggy from the Mo Willems books. Big fan of Mo Willems and those Elephant and Piggy books. And I referenced it at some point in time. I think that was in I'm not even sure, but Eric and I bonded over our love of Elephant and Piggy. You might have been listening to Eric speak there and thought, like, goodness, I wish I could see what he's doing right now. I wish I could see what he's doing with that TextBlaze Chrome extension to paste in this rubric that he made at MagicSchool into his LMS. Well, guess what? Eric posted it as a screencast. So head over to the Padlet. That is eduducttape.com/Padlet. And you could see a video of what Eric was doing. That's the beauty of this Padlet, folks. That's why I'm doing this in this new iteration of the podcast. Not only can we share our voices, not only can we share our input and our perspectives and our thoughts, we could also share videos and show each other things. They won't show up in the podcast because you can't really do a screencast for your ears, but you can go see exactly what he was doing in there. By the way, I'm very curious about this TextBlaze Chrome extension, Eric. I've never used it before. I use ProKeys. There was one I used to use too before that, but I also love the ability to use a certain keyboard shortcut and have some text that I use regularly pop right in there. And what a cool idea to develop a rubric using AI to save yourself time, and then save yourself time inserting it in the future too. How cool is that, right? So Eric used one thing that he heard about in the episode, which was MagicSchool. Next, we've got two more educators that were inspired by some of the specific things that Molly and I discussed on the show, and they told me a little bit about it on these messages on the Padlet. First up is Cindy, who shared about a few specific tools that she tried out.
Jake, I was so glad to see that the podcast is back. I missed hearing you. And thanks for the most recent episode. Some notes I took. MagicSchool, I need to look into it more. I just dipped my toe in it, but you guys talking about it renewed my interest in it. I didn't think of using Google Arts and Culture as an AI example, and I think that would be a good way for the younger kids to get used to AI and understand how some of that works. I liked your throwback to DraftBack. I had stopped using it once revision history was introduced, so thanks for the memories. And also thank you for encouraging teachers to have a growth mindset when it comes to learning and actually using and understanding AI, because I think that's really important. So thanks again for bringing back the podcast, and I really enjoyed these first couple episodes this season.
Thank you, Cindy. I am glad that you are glad that I am back, and I am glad that I am back, and I am glad that you shared, and I'm glad to share your share right here. So Cindy was inspired to dig into MagicSchool and Google Arts and Culture after the episode. Up next, we've got Vicki Huepel, and she was also inspired to try out MagicSchool. It's 3 people in a row for MagicSchool. You're welcome, MagicSchool. I'll be expecting a check in the mail soon. Not really. I'm just kidding. After hearing Molly talk about it, Vicki decided to give one specific feature a try. Let's hear what she shared. This also, by the way, is an AI-generated audio as Vicki shared using text. So this is not Vicki's real voice. This is AI-generated audio. By the way, I don't mind using the AI generator to bring your text to life, folks, but I'd love to hear your actual voices. So anyhow, here is AI-generated Vicki.
Thanks to the Educational Duct Tape podcast, I took Molly Cloter's advice and went back to check out MagicSchool AI for a second time. I noticed their Create a Table feature called Data Table Analysis. For me as a science teacher, there are never enough tables, graphs, and charts that you can use to help student practice analysis and still have extra items to use for assessments. Although the MagicSchool AI tables aren't perfect or fancy, having more of them on a variety of topics quickly and easily at my disposal will give me great resources to use to get students thinking about how to ask better investigative questions, how to make conclusions from data, and how to analyze data.
Thanks, Vicki. There are so many features in MagicSchool that I actually have not seen them all, and I had never noticed data table analysis, and wow, that's super handy. Back when I taught math and science, I often looked for data sets to use in class, and I didn't always have the best of luck, or I did find some stuff, but then I had to format it into a table, or I found it, but it took me a really long time to find it, and I had to clean it up, or whatever. It was never convenient. And so it would have been really nice to have a quick, easy way to generate some data tables. And wow, Vicki just found the way, because you can make a table of actual data on just about anything. I tried it out. I made a table of the most successful rap artists and the highest scoring basketball players and all kinds of different things. I will say it doesn't show its source for the data, which bums me out. I wish it cited the source. But from what I could tell, at least the data is legit. So that's good. Finally, I have one last share to share, and it brings the episode full circle, as it's from the same person that was the first share of the episode. Here is Bryon Carpenter's reflections from episode 108, which, as I said earlier, also appears in his Fresh Air at 5 podcast.
Hey, Jake. Reflecting on episode 108 of your Educational Duct Tape podcast, you talked with Molly about academic honesty in our age of ubiquitous AI. And just for me, just hearing the word ubiquitous AI, that just brings to light that it is way more places than we think it is. I've seen it in, Google Photos. I've seen it in places like Twitter, I think. I've seen it there. I've seen it in Instagram. It's in Facebook. Different places and social media platforms that we use. That's not even educational stuff, and so that, to me right there, that just talks about the invasiveness, and not in a bad way. We can look at it as a bad way, look at it as an alien invasion, but it's not that. It is the fact that we have this tool and we need to figure out how to use it. Going to Home Depot, looking at that brand new tool scares the crap right out of you, because you don't understand it. So thank you, Molly and Jake, for your thoughts on artificial intelligence, academic honesty in our age of ubiquitous AI, looking at how we do our job as teachers and pedagogy. And, students are going to cheat, and we have to be aware that they're going to do that, and we have to be in a space that we build relationship that they're not going to want to do that. If they know you as a teacher so well, why would they want to do that and try to pull this fleece over your eyes? I like looking at cheating as, why do students cheat? What are the pressures around them? Do I have students cheating in my class, or are they just cheating in English class for getting into university? Things like that. And how can we ensure that students are doing their own work and growing them as students?
Thank you so much, Bryon. Before I wrap it up, I always like to share the EdTech news that I've got my eyes on, and today my peepers are peeping over at Canva because they are about to unveil a few new features. First, a bulk create option that allows us to create multiple designs at once. Second, an enhanced audio in video editing that can improve audio quality in our videos. And finally, a new AI-powered photo editing tool. I do love me some Canva, and I'm excited to learn more about these tools. They're unveiling them in a webinar, I think, on August 14th. I'm sure we'll see it all over social media right after that webinar airs. Okay, so that does it for today. Please make sure you're subscribed so you get next week's episode as soon as it comes out. And please share about this show so that you can help me out, but also so that you're entered into that contest that I mentioned earlier. And please, when you listen next week, turn on your brainiums. That's a combination of brain and cranium. A brainium. Turn on your brainium so that you can think of what you want to share on the Duct Taper space in preparation for the following episode, because we're going to do this again unless you all email me and tell me, Jake, I hated hearing other people's voices. I just want to hear just your voice, Jake. So unless you tell me that, we're going to do this again every other week. So turn on your Brainium while you're listening so that you could think of the things that you want to share, and then it could be your voice that you're listening to here. That's like Inception level stuff going on right there. But please, I want to hear you share. Okie dokie. Before we go, I wanted to thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you so much for what you do for the learners in your school. I know most of you are preparing to go back to work or just starting back, and the fact that you're also listening here to learn and grow is amazing. I mean, you're trying to eke the last moments of fun and enjoyment out of summer. You're also trying to get ready for the school year, and then you're also spending time to listen to this to get better for your learners. I mean, that is so cool. So thank you so much for that. Did you ever notice that string cheese tastes better when you pull it apart as strings instead of just biting into it? Well, similarly, Chromebooks work better when you know where they are. And today's sponsor, Visor, can help you know where all your school's devices are hiding, just like my wife knows exactly where the string cheese is hiding. Is the Chromebook lost? In repair? Checked out as a loaner? Does Johnny have it? No problem. Visor's got you covered. Remember to snag that special deal for educational duct tape listeners at visor.cloud/Jake. That's VIZOR.cloud/Jake. Special pricing and cool swag await. Thanks for hanging out today. And remember, Visor has your back, just like my wife with the string cheese.